Sorry, I was just gazing into the eyes of the franchise leader and points per a season, Nikita Kucherov. I also wears jersey as well, Thomas Cooley. Welcome to We the Thunder. I love a good post-game show. I feel like we win when we do post-game shows around here. And that happened tonight. We got Thomas Cooley. School's back in, and the Lightning continue their hot streak, this time in Toronto. We love a good Maple Leafs raking around here. That's right. Hit those like buttons, hit the retweet button, and let everyone know we're live talking about the game. Thomas Schooley, it's good to see you. I feel like we haven't done this in a couple weeks. It's been a hectic March, but hey, the team has been playing well and seems to be carrying over till April.
Yeah, they've really gotten this spark in playoff push. There's a couple different things that if you look over the last couple weeks, it's been crazy the difference that the two teams make. And now we have tomorrow night's game, which we'll get on because I'm sure we'll talk about the JJ injury. So don't think the sky's crashing tomorrow if there's some kind of loss tomorrow in Montreal. Just, it will be all right. The magic number's now 4 points.
4 points. 2 wins in the next 7 games. We're in the playoffs. Here's how confident I am. I dug out the playoff tie-dye hat that had led us to back-to-back Stanley Cups. So I'm pretty confident we're going to get there. What Thomas was talking about, if you have not heard, I know everyone saw we had the e-bug in on Monday, which never happens for the Lightning. But that's because JoJo's got, I think it was a lower body injury, right? Yep. So Tompkins is coming up. He's with the team, and you got to imagine they're not going to play Vasi back-to-back because once we get to the playoffs, Vasi's playing every single game. So Tompkins, yeah, as Dan says, Tompkins will be fine. Let the kid play. If you're going to play anyone, Montreal is really a one-line team. They look pretty good, though, when they played the Panthers the other day. I don't know who won that game over the weekend because I only watched the first 2 periods. But
Montreal did.
They played the Panthers pretty well. But, yeah, goalie issues in Tampa, but not really because as long as Vasi stays in there, Vasi, again, tonight, I think Vasi, we're going to go and look at my guy Cooch's performance tonight because he broke the record, which we're still counting, and we'll see how many points he gets to. I'm going to say 150-ish. And but I think the story tonight was between these two teams, Vasi was the difference. Vasi could make the big saves, and quite frankly, Wolf on the other side couldn't do it. Stamkos' shot Stamkos made it look super easy on his goal. Nick Paul's wrister at the end to seal it was an awesome shot, but major league goalies probably saved that. So
I saw 2 different headlines today from obviously some sites looking for clickbait that was saying goalie issues in Tampa. And I'm like, okay, maybe at the beginning of the season when you had that story about Vasi going down and being hurt at the beginning of the season, but this really isn't a goalie issue. Game 80 or game 70, 74? No, 75. Game 75, and it's not your starting goalie. So I saw two different stories about the goalie issues in Tampa, and I was like,
what goalie issue? Since
March. Literally, it's going to be one game that Tompkins is playing. I mean, he's not going to see the playoffs. So simmer down. It's good.
Yeah, some of these websites that are out there are ridiculous. Although I did read a pretty good one today about how Steven Stamkos is probably never going to leave the Lightning. I like that one. It was really about some podcast, some NHL podcast.
I'll click on that one all day long.
Yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, huge win tonight against the Leafs. So a lot of Lightning fans probably noticed Nick Perbix scratched from the lineup tonight. I think there was a lot of people maybe happy about that after last game. Listen, he did not have his best game last game, and he's not having his greatest season. It's only his second season, though, but he was scratched tonight. And we were also on a 4-game losing streak going back to the playoffs, of course, last season against Toronto. So to go in there and, this game was nuts because Icy Mont comes in and little Mikey tries to set the tone and pops Willie Nylander with a beautiful hit. And then Ryan Reeves gets on the ice, and the Lightning are like, oh, crap, I forgot they had this guy who just hits. And Reeves proceeded to take out, who did he get? Dumba first. I think he got somebody else, and then he got Hedman really good. All clean hits, but it got really physical real fast, and the Lightning were able to survive this game by, playing sound defense and putting up the points on the board. 4-1, they win this game. No shots in the first 10 minutes of the game. It was Hedman that lit the lamp first, and they were on their way to the power play. But as we've seen a couple times this season, they got that 6-on-5 and scored before they even got the power play opportunity. So huge goal by Hedman, who was probably pissed off already because the Lightning played horrible that first period. Did you see his interview during intermission?
Yeah.
Hedman's. That was like the most honest interview I think I've seen with a Lightning player in years because he was pissed. They did not play well that first period. No shots. He scored the goal that kept them in it. And it was really with a lot of the help of the refs that the Toronto team got back into the game and scored that one goal, because the Bolts got 2 power plays. They looked awful on those power plays. Toronto did a really good job of just like being super aggressive and getting on Cooch as soon as he gets that puck, and same thing on the other side. But after that power play, momentum shifts a little bit, and then the refs actually during those power plays missed like some blatant calls, like the Hagel clothesline. Hagel was tripped and Point got the clothesline, and there was something else too. And then Glendening gets this soft call at the blue line for interference where these guys are just kind of colliding together, and Engblom thought they both were going for that. So Toronto capitalizes and ties it up 1-1 in that first period, and it's really anyone's game. What did you think of that first period? Weird, right? Not their best first period, but kind of got out of it 1-1.
Yeah, I thought they kind of were still in the Ranger or the Red Wings mode. I thought it was still a little bit shaky on their feet. And this is most likely the goalie that Toronto's going with in the playoffs. It looks like Wall is going to be their goalie for the playoffs from all the predictions.
Who else is it going to be?
Well, yeah. So this is going to be, I think, like a matchup of it. And I'd love to see Tampa and Leafs play again. They won't play each other in the first round, which will suck. And here Stephanie says first round to exit. The problem is if they end up getting past the first round, we could face them in the second round and then hopefully get them out. But the first period was very, very slow. They didn't look like they had momentum. It didn't look like it was going to be great. But this team is definitely going into playoff mode. And something I've noticed for the last couple of games is they're getting back to that physicalness. And we've seen that every single year in the last 3 years, that when they get towards the end of the season is when they start doing those hits. They start doing those checks. They start doing, I saw John talk about the forecheck-in last podcast. They start doing the forecheck and they start working on that. And I think that's what they're mostly working on, is trying to get that physicalness back up that they bring into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, they definitely did it today. You saw the big time fight between Reeves and Jeannot that we just kind of knew was going to happen, especially after Reeves came out in that first period, hitting everything that was moving. Reeves got that last shot in, but Jeannot, I think he landed more punches in that fight, right?
Well, Reeves got, I see Stephanie said here, let's hope Jeannot doesn't have a concussion. That last hit was the visor that really knocked Jeannot down and was the end. So I don't think, I think they just were pulled because there were some headshots, but I think he's good to go. And we harped on him all year about being so hurt and being a stupid trade. I still don't think that this will probably go down as one of JBB's worst trades, but he's brought in the physical back since he's been back, and I'm glad to have that back going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and hockey is a very streaky sport as well. So you see it with Cirelli, who's hot right now. Hagel's kind of cold. He had 2 points tonight, but they've been putting up with Cooch and point, so he's going to get back on track. That's exactly why they're doing it. But Cirelli, he didn't get a point on this, but on that Hedman goal, it was a perfect screen. Cirelli was right in front of the goalie, and having a career year all of a sudden out of nowhere. I know he gets paid a lot of money, but there's a lot that Cirelli does on that penalty kill and defensively for this team, and that's again what starts to get really important during the playoffs.
It's a perfect time for them to be heating up. You see Stamkos, I mean, he scored tonight. Stammer's starting to heat up. You got Cirelli starting to heat up. You get Hagel starting to get back into it.
What if Jeannot all of a sudden starts blowing up in the playoffs and scoring goals?
Yeah,
watch out.
Duclair, who is doing Duclair things since he's been traded here. So, you've got all this stuff. From a team that are they going to make the playoffs? I mean, literally, we were just discussing it a month and a half ago. Are they going to make the playoffs? Well, and there was a lot of people going, well, I kind of hope they don't because my bank account will be. And I was one of those. I was like, well, if they do, they do. If they don't, well, it'll be a lot cheaper. But now it's like, how far
those checks, people? Write those checks because you don't want to miss the first round of the NHL playoffs.
Yeah, now it's going to be like, how far are they going? And the team that has been here since the trade deadline looks like a Stanley Cup caliber team.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, back to the game. Penalty kill to start that second period. We go shorthanded again. Kill that. By the way, penalty kill, another trending topic amongst the Bolts that I don't know how many they've given up in the last month and a half, but it's not many. So penalty kill kills it. And then Point with that beautiful goal, making the move to make the goalie look silly. Of course, that was Cooch's pass, and that was the one that breaks his own record, 129 points. Plenty of games to go to add more to that, and it puts him in front again to be the leader in the NHL. There he is. Kiss the plaque, folks. Nikita Kucherov, your NHL points leader today and your all-time franchise leader in a season. What do you got to say, Cooch? We got some Cooch sound bites. And you know what I was wondering? I asked on our Twitter account is, are we going to get a Cooch media appearance tonight? Do you think that's happening? Everyone's probably watching that instead of this show, right?
No, I don't think they do on an away game.
Don't do any media?
I think very rarely. I don't think you get a Cooch one on an away game.
All right, Cooch.
Especially back to back going into, they had to fly into Montreal tonight.
We'll do our own Cooch interview. That's true.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it, baby. Unreal.
Can you make it simpler?
We can't possibly make it simpler because you're making it look way too easy this season. There was another record he broke as well. And then Hagel also hit 200 points. That's a sneaky 200 points Hagel's gotten in his career already.
Yeah, he's definitely been. Sorry, I was checking the Lightning flight. They leave Toronto in 34 minutes.
You were just making sure we weren't going to miss a Cooch interview. He timed it perfectly because they would have put him up there on at least get an interview in with the media for that. And he hates that. But yeah, 200 points, two points for Hagel, who was pointless in his last few games. So it's good to see him getting on the board, and it'll be interesting to see. I like how they can just swap Hagel and the Duke on that first and second line like it's nothing. It's just plug and play with those guys.
Hagel is definitely someone that, I mean, we talked about this before. He was with Taves and Kane in Chicago. Obviously, there's a reason why he is with those two superstars. I mean, whether you like them or not, they were superstars for the Chicago Blackhawks. So to plug someone in like Hagel, and then you see when he comes here after being with Paul his first half season, now he's worked his way up to that top line with Kucherov and Point, arguably definitely two Hall of Famers. So here you go, adding Hagel to the mix of 4 future possible Hall of Famers with Kane, Taves, Point, and Kucherov. The common denominator there is Hagel. And so he gets those sloppy goals. He gets those nice assists. We've seen him play tic-tac-toe there with Sorelli on those shorties. So
another guy who's on the penalty kill too, killing those penalties.
He's definitely one of those Yanni Gourde type guys, but Yanni would never have been up in the first line. So good job for Hagel.
If we're getting Brandon Hagel's sloppy seconds, I'll take sloppy seconds all day.
And I mean, the other guy from that trade deadline year, Nick Paul. Nick Paul's starting to heat up too. I mean, so everything is going on the right cylinder for all the players for the whole team.
Yeah, some more huge saves in that second period by Vasi. Some highlight saves really, and then you had the Stamkos 2-on-1, and I was waiting for Stamkos to pass it, and I was yelling like a hockey fan, "Shoot the puck!" And what did he do? He shot it and just made it look easy. And at that point, 3-1, we roll into the third period. Nick Paul, I thought, was brilliant drawing that penalty. He kind of did his Nick Paul. Nick Paul loves to go for a skate. When he gets room, he loves to go for that skate around as much as he can. He's like, I got the puck, I'm keeping it. And he did it tonight and drew a penalty. Probably could have drew 2 penalties because I thought he was there was somebody at the beginning when he first got the puck with a little infraction, but pulls it on the other side. We didn't score on the power play. The power play was not great tonight, but they did start to straighten out. I think they figured out, like, hey, they've got us here at the blue line. We've got to chip it in and go chase it down to get possession. So they did figure that out by the end of the game, but didn't get a power play goal, unless you count the first one. And then Paul with that 2-on-1 again, doesn't pass. He just shoots it. And what do you know? When you shoot it and you put it on net, you sometimes score. And that's what happened tonight a couple times. And what a game it was. Hey, Thomas Schooler, what are you doing April 13th?
A watch party.
Oh, yes. Have you ever heard of High Lie? It's an Indian pale ale. The kids call that the IPAs. Go pick yourself up one and join us and get your first one free over at Cigar City, April 13th. It is a early start time. I think it's a 6 o'clock game. So we will post that RSVP Facebook invite tomorrow. Make sure you RSVP, come hang out with us, watch the Lightning beat the Caps. Hey, maybe that's the game we sealed the deal and make the playoffs. I think we're going to do it before then, so we're just going to celebrate.
If we're waiting that long to do it, there's going to be some big issues. That's the one thing you haven't seen in the last couple, because you're in several of the Facebook groups. I'm in several of the Facebook groups. We're both on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, Instagram. You read all the different pages. What's the one thing that you haven't seen in the last 2 weeks over that was there a month ago? Was Vasi doesn't look like himself. Vasi's not himself. Vasi sucks. We've had the trade Vasi right before the trade deadline. Now Vasi looks like Vasi.
He does.
Vasi looks like playoff Vasi. So, that Detroit game, we can talk about that. We lost, obviously, 3-2. He gave up the 3 goals. The fourth one was an empty netter. So we lost 4-2. But Vasi's been only giving up 1-2 goals a game.
Yeah, his goals against average went down a whole point in the last month, and his save percentage went up a pretty good percentage as well. So it's a smaller sample than the rest of the season, but you got to think something's happened. He's turned the corner, and look at just some of the saves he's made tonight, and I guess in the last string of games. he's fully extended, like doing the splits. I don't know if he could do that earlier in the season. I don't know if his back was where it needed to be because he wasn't making those saves earlier in the season, and now he seems to be stretching it out. He's more flexible than I am, Thomas Cooley. I don't know about you. I think you can make those
well, I can. I'm just not as tall as him. That's I can do the splits. I can do all that, but
it's a lot of open net there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vassie's back. That's a pretty good question. Like who does this team who do they ride on the most? Like, a lot of people will jump out and say Cooch just because the disparity of, the points this season. But really, since Vassie's been Vassie again, that's when this team's been winning. Like scoring goals was never the problem. So I don't know. What would you say? Is it Cooch? Is it Vassie? Or is it somebody else that really is the most valuable player on this team? Not necessarily this season, but just overall in this roster.
I think everybody's got their own role. So it's hard. And I mean, obviously this season, Cooch has lit it up. We probably wouldn't be where we are right now without Kucherov. But then you also saw without Vassie, we played 500 hockey. He comes back in, we're above 500 since he's been in there. So, you can arguably make for any of them. Look at Duclair since he's gotten here. Was it only 2 games he hasn't gotten a point in since he's joined us. They've only lost 2 games, 1 game in regulation since he's been with the team. So there's so many different factors that you can say a little bit of everything is going on. I was just looking at the playoffs started today. Our first round matchup is Boston. And I'm not too upset about that.
No, we handled them last week. So I don't know. I feel like we've beat all the teams in front of us now in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's definitely not a team that the Lightning are afraid to play.
Carolina's the team that we have not seen since the trade deadline. And they got much better. They got much better. So that's going to be a team that I want to see how they do going down to the end and into the playoffs. It's funny because they will not win the top seed in their conference. That's obviously going to go to the Rangers unless something drastic happens. So literally it'd be Boston and Tampa and then Rangers against Capitals. And then you have Carolina and Philly and Florida and Toronto.
Yeah. But a lot can change in 7 games?
Yeah. So we can still overtake Toronto, which I want to say 4 shows ago, I was like, oh, there's no way we're catching Toronto. You
did say that. You did say that 2 shows ago, actually.
Yeah. There is not a chance in hell I thought we were going to end up catching Toronto. And then I watched something, I want to say maybe it was Spit and Chicklets, where they talked about how, we're going to discuss that, Stephanie.
We're going to run the video on that one.
Spit and Chicklets, I believe, said that Toronto may be having a Toronto flu on purpose, where they don't want that number 3 seed. So, is there something in there?
Buying that one.
Huh?
I have a tough time buying that.
Me too. We've talked about this before. We talked about this last year. Did the Tampa want the number 2 seed? Did Tampa want the number 3 seed? You want home ice advantage whenever you can do it. So the higher seed you get, you're going to get home ice if you continue in the playoffs. So I don't see them not wanting to do it.
Yeah, but also the playoffs is weird. Remember last playoffs, all the road teams were winning.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't see a team in the NHL tanking for a different playoff position. I think they want to carry that momentum into the playoffs, and I think that's why all these other teams are shaking in their boots that realize that, one of them's going to have to play the Lightning. And going into the playoffs, the Lightning are probably the hottest team. I know the Rangers have been pretty good, and Carolina's been pretty good their last 10 games too. But
3 different podcasts, national podcasts, said the Lightning are not the team you want to face in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, they've started to figure it out. And then the ultimate X factor, especially in a playoff series, is goaltending. Andrei Vasilevsky. I mean, that's the difference between us and Toronto. Like I said, that's the difference between us and Carolina, in my opinion. I feel like they still don't have that goalie. They have goalies that play us really well, but they don't have a goalie that they can lean on the entire length of the playoffs. Whereas Panthers kind of do with Bobrovsky. Bruins do with Swayman. I don't know if they're going to be stupid and do the whole tandem thing that screwed them up last season. Flyers definitely don't have a goalie. They got that guy from Russia that they're suiting up now.
They're going to try to sign him for a 2-year extension because it's literally he's only going to play 6 games for them and then probably be their starter going into the playoffs. I mean, think about it. The Flyers look so good, and then your goalie gets accused of the stuff going on in Canada from years ago, gets arrested, and you lose your starting goalie. And look, they've been shit ever since.
They're on a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah.
But they will make the playoffs. It's crazy. They have 83. Is that right? Yeah, 83 points they have, and they're above the wild card spot because they fall in 3rd in the Metropolitan Division.
Yeah, them and the Islanders and Detroit and Washington are all fighting for those last spots.
Well, Washington's got a good chance to catch up to him. They're only 1 point behind, so Washington might move up to that third spot in the Metro.
Did you see that shooter? Stephanie pointed this out. And their fellow countrymen, fellow Russians, he was like, your goalie's over there, buddy.
Yeah, the Flyers goalie didn't realize that they changed sides, or no, they don't. No, they do change sides at intermission or in overtime.
John Cooper just said Jeannot is fine. So
he looked shaken up a little bit.
That's the only thing that has came out of post game so far is Cooper tells us Jeannot is fine after fighting Ryan Reeves early in the 3rd period. However, he never returned to the game following that fight.
I bet his hands hurt.
Yeah.
From whooping that ass. Hold on. We got something for Jeannot too. Where is it? It's time. That's what I played in my house before that fight. Let's get ready to rumble. You knew it was coming. Whoops. All right. Before the Facebook police shut us down, we'll stop with the sound effects.
that let's get ready to rumble was more New Jersey, New York.
Yeah, let's pull that up. If you missed this, I don't know how you missed it. There's only a couple NHL games tonight. And one was the Rangers Devils. And I guess you said that the Rangers end up winning that game, or they were.
Yes, they won.
So they were losing. That's why I was surprised, but they did come back and win that game. I guess, where is my window that I've got this thing in? I think it's right here. Boom. If you did not see this, this is right off the draw. This is the opening draw of the game of the Rangers and Devils. And you can see these two are ready to go at it immediately. So are these two at the bottom. And you got another one here on the other side. So it was a full penalty box after this one because, yeah, basically the entire first line broke out into fights in this game. That's my favorite way. You know, for whoever the first person was that was, or for whoever who was at this game and that was their first NHL hockey game, which I'm sure there was a few people at the game where that was their first like hockey game they've ever been to. What a good experience that is, right? Just
and this
into a brawl at the very beginning.
This is all stemming from a fight, what was maybe a month ago that Remke hurt, injured some of the Devils players and didn't answer the call for New Jersey's fighter to come back in retribution. And so this was right off. All 8 players got ejected out of the game. So they were very short benches tonight. And I mean, you had Truba get ejected. You had like all of the defense for New York. It was crazy. After the game started, all 10 skaters started brawling. The fight apparently stemmed from an incident early in the month where Rangers rookie Matt Remke hit Devils defenseman Jonas Siegenthaler with an elbow. As a result, that's when Remke was ejected and 4-game suspension.
There you go. Exciting times in the NHL. We can still fight each other. All right, so we didn't talk about the Islanders game on Saturday. Fun game to go to. I was at the Sticks of Fire tailgate, which was a good time and pretty good game. Got a little bit nervous because we had the emergency backup goalie on the bench, but we knew nothing was going to happen to Vasi. And Stamkos finally gets that 30th goal after getting it reviewed, not just in this Islanders game, but also in the previous game, it got overturned. So Stamkos finally, after getting 2 goals overturned, scores his 30th goal. And then Cirelli should have had a hat trick in this game. Has 1 goal where the puck went in, and then Cirelli also went in the net, and that was overturned for goalie interference. And then he had the other one, which the goaltenders.
That was Detroit game, not the Islanders game.
No, the Islanders game. The Islanders game was Cirelli getting 2 goals overturned, right?
No, that was Detroit.
I'm getting my Cirelli games mixed up.
Yes.
I just can't keep track. Cirelli's so hot right now. Anyway, yeah, that was funny because he had 3 goals in that game, right? And really only
you tweeted the April Fool's hat trick.
That's right. Yeah, and by the way, by my count, if these goals all counted like they should have, rightfully, that game would have been 4-4. So we should have got a point. That game, that loss to Detroit was Vasi's first loss since March 7th. So
yeah, it was, of course,
the goddamn Little Caesars Arena.
They own they own the Red Wings.
It felt like the Little Caesars Arena in Tampa that night.
They own the Red Wings, Little Caesars. So I was hoping flying into Vegas this Sunday for this convention that the Lightning were gonna get the W, and I was gonna go there with all my Lightning gear. I'm still going. It's gonna be cold in Vegas, so I'm still going with all my Lightning stuff. But I was ready.
Cold Vegas is the best Vegas.
Yes, I was ready to rub it in to the CEO and everybody else, but I guess we can't beat them this year.
Yeah, and I wish I had this video pulled up for you, Stephanie, because that was one of the best deflections I have ever seen. And I thought that was going to get overturned. That was in the Islanders game on Saturday night. Yeah. That was his 30th goal for Stamkos on the season. And I did think that one was going to get overturned because it looked like his stick was a little high. It just has to be.
It looked high, but the puck looked like it might have hit the shaft of the stick.
Yeah,
that was low enough.
Lower. But yeah, that is one of the best deflections you'll ever see, because that puck was definitely going wide. And they also they had a bunch of shots that did not go on net tonight. So I do like how they were shooting more, but they still got to figure out this accuracy thing, because that kills them when they're firing on all cylinders. And like tonight, I don't know what the final count on shots were. I don't know if they got to 20 tonight, but they had way more shots than that.
Yeah, that's their biggest. That's probably their biggest issue all this season is those missed opportunities. They've been missing too many on net. They ended up with 25 shots on goal tonight.
Oh wow, they got more in the third period than I thought. But yeah, none in the first 10 minutes, and scoring on the first goal. Whatever was said, I hope they had video running for Bally's or for something at intermission, that first intermission in this game, because the way Hedman was talking and how pissed he was, this team was not happy, and they came out really like a different team in that second and third period. And the other kind of highlight I thought of this game was, all right, it's 3-1 going into third period. If you don't know, 3-1 is the worst lead in hockey, or 2-goal lead's the worst lead in hockey. So I was not celebrating at all yet going into that third period, knowing our last couple performances against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Do you remember what happened in those? We blew leads in pretty much all of them in the third and lost in overtime in the playoffs a few times. So to see them actually play defensively and play it well and play playoff style hockey against a playoff team was a really good sign, in my opinion, to be able to do that in the third period and shut them down, especially when you're playing against a guy like Austin Matthews. You got to point out that Marner is out. He's still out with an injury. He is one of their top players. They're definitely a better team with Marner out there. Love him or hate him, he's a good player.
So they did ask Nikita Kucherov on setting a new franchise record in points in a single season with 129. He said it felt good. It felt even better that we got the W tonight. Cooper, on what flipped the switch between the first and the second periods, you would have had to have been in the locker room to hear that one. So, as you were saying, you hope they have microphones in. Cooper plainly states that.
You wish you had microphones in there.
Yeah. So I would imagine if they did have microphones in there, it's just going to be bleep, 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 bleep.
I wonder how vocal these new guys are in the locker room, because you hear them talking about them on TV and hear like they've got pretty loud personalities. I wonder like how comfortable they are in the locker room speaking up with, especially with, the caliber and leadership that we already have on this team.
And Nick Paul says on Nikita Kucherov, he's always the best. I think he's underrated. He's getting more attention this year for what he's doing. But since I've gotten here, just watching him play, it's just magical.
Yeah, if you missed it, like Matthew Orozco, it is a 4-point magic number.
The problem with that, Orozco, is now the Islanders and Philly are both tied with 95. So they can max out at 95. So, no, we can't glitch tomorrow if they win and those lose, because then you still got Philly.
Basically 2 wins in the last 7 games, and we are in. If you didn't notice, I have my playoff hat on. It's supposed to be tie-dyed. Kind of looks like a cow. But that's how we win. So, yeah, magic number is 4. I was honestly waiting for the Toronto folks to come and find this podcast, because they have in the past. We've got the trolls, at least Donnie Pepin, who's like,
I was gonna say Donnie's usually here,
because I've got like some sound effects lined up for him. The sad violin. Oh, that's loud. Loud for me.
By the way, here's my huge magic number little figuring out. It's just me adding numbers every single day.
Yeah, when we're getting ready to go live, I'm looking and I'm like, Thomas looks like he's deep in thought there. He must be doing math.
Well, so this is the max that any team can have right now. That's in the top. That's the max points they can get. You got to count 8. And then you don't want to count the Bolt as the top 8. So you go 7, and then the 8th spot is Philly and Islanders both can get 95 points, max out at 95 points. We beat them in row if we tie them at 95 points, which is regulation or overtime wins. If the Islanders are the only ones that can tie us in row, but we have the second tiebreaker against them, so we'll win that. And if we tie with Philly in row, then we have the tiebreaker. We'll still win in row over Philly. So you have to figure those out. That was the discrepancy the other day when the TV was saying, I was saying 6 and the TV was saying 7, was because of the row. but they can't catch us on row. So that's the first tiebreaker is the row.
What do you know? Got to look at the row.
Listen, and that's why it's now a stat on the NHL standings. There's a reason that's on there, and that's regulation and overtime wins.
Let's see if they updated. Yeah, for
They
some
did.
reason. Well, I'm on ESPN now. They didn't update anything yet, but I guess the NHL did.
NHL did.
Yeah, they did. Cooch, he hit 130. I didn't even realize he had another assist in this game. Did you? I thought he was on 129.
Did he get?
He must have touched it before Paul scored. Unless he got the one on the Stamkos. Must have been a second assist. But anyway, Cooch, 137 games left. He averages over a point a game. I'm going 150 because he says he doesn't care about these individual records. I'm sure he doesn't compared to winning the Stanley Cup, but he's going full tilt to win this scoring race.
So we got the assist on Hedman's goal. You got the assist on Point's goal. He got the assist on Paul's goal.
So he did on that Paul goal. I did not realize that. There's what I'm looking at. There's where it stands. So you've got, here's the scary part, is how the hell did Connor McDavid come all the way back from the dead? He wasn't back from the dead, but he was way behind. He's approaching 100 assists. He might get it tonight. I think they played later tonight. So Connor McDavid is racking up the points as well, and he is 1 point away from McKinnon, and McKinnon did not play tonight. So this is an exciting scoring race. It's not like this every year, especially when we've got a horse in the race. So it's going to be fun to just kind of keep track of this scoring race when we get down to the wire, and they better give it to whoever wins the scoring race. I think they've got to give heart to whoever just wins that scoring race.
You got to, because Kucherov, McDavid, McKinnon are definitely the MVPs of their teams this season. And the only reason their teams are in the playoff races. So Kucherov wins it. There's no way you can unjustify him not winning it. McDavid, like you said, how did he come from the dead? They fire their coach mid-season and get a new coach, and they start fixing all their problems. So if they win it, he's definitely was the MVP of that team. And then same with Colorado. Colorado's hung in there all year, but they do not look like the team that they have been in the last couple of years. They've had some injuries and goalie issues. So McKinnon wins it. I mean, you have to give it to the winner of that race.
Yeah, I won't be mad if Cooch loses to either one of those guys if they score more than Cooch, to be clear. But awesome night for him, breaking his own record, and man, that's a lot of points in a season. He's going to make it even higher. All right, here's what we got. We are in April, 7 games left. We do it again tomorrow night. We get to see good old Marty St. Louis, Montreal Canadiens. We mentioned they beat Florida Panthers, who are on a little bit of a cold streak right now, but they played them pretty well. I watched some of that game. What was that? I think it was Sunday. So that'll be a good one tomorrow. We've got Tompkins in net, the backup goalie. So we'll see what he can do in Montreal. And then we've got the 1:00 Saturday game up in Pittsburgh. What is it? Kids Day or something up there? Let's screw. Whoa. let's screw
Choose
up.
your words. That will be a sound bite.
Let's send the kids home crying and screw up Kids Day. And then back home for 4 out of the last 5 games. So we've got a chance to make some ground here and really take that 3rd spot. And it might come down to that last game at Amalie Arena against the Toronto Maple Leafs on Wednesday, the 17th, in 2 weeks from today. The season will be over. So, man, we are in the final stretch of this thing, and all season we've kind of been sweating it, and I think we feel pretty good right about now, right?
Yeah, and we're starting to see the teams fall into the seedings and who's going to be in there, who's not going to be in the playoffs. Literally, that last game of the year could be for the third place in our division and for that playoff spot, and then the other one getting the wild card spot. But looking at these teams, I mean, looking at the winnable games, every single one of them looks like a very winnable game.
They're games we should win, all of them, except for Toronto. But we whooped Toronto pretty good tonight, so we could close out the season.
We always have issues with Ottawa, so that's going to be an interesting game to see if they can rake that one.
But it's at home.
Pittsburgh and the Caps are both not teams that have been Pittsburgh and Caps of old.
Must win though for the Caps. The other teams are all kind of out of it.
Yeah,
Toronto.
I mean, it's nice for once not having those Florida Panthers as one of the last games of the season, as it seems to have been the last couple of years. Same with the Rangers. Of course, we did just see them not too long ago, but usually that last week is just full of some of our rivals, full of a Boston, full of a Florida Panthers, of a Carolina. So it's nice to see the only one really that is going to be that Toronto game.
Yep, last game of the season could mean a lot and could mean absolutely nothing at that point. So here we go. Strap yourself in for an exciting finish. We've got the scoring race with Cooch. We're jostling for playoff position here, and then we're going to get right into the playoffs here. Hopefully by next show we'll have some celebrations. Do we do a toast? We do a toast when they make the playoffs, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, we can do a toast for anything.
I already did a toast.
Why not?
No way. Cigar City, April 13th. Come watch that Caps game with us. And if you're going to go to any of these games, there's 4 left for the regular season. We also got the playoffs. Thomas Cooley, go like this. Like this. And you're going to do that. Other way. Come on. Other way. More up. SeatGeek.com. Some of my friends use SeatGeek.com for the last game. You get $20 off your first purchase. So you get rid of all those nasty fees and get yourself a pretty good deal to go to one of these games. Just your first time using SeatGeek.com. You got to use our code WTTPod. So do that and go to a Lightning game and let us know if you go, because Thomas Cooley is usually there. And if he's not there, I'm usually there. And sometimes we're both there at the same time.
So I have a question for you and for the people watching. Is there any teams that are not going to make the playoffs that you're surprised didn't make the playoffs? And there's any teams that is in the hunt that you're surprised about?
Surprised that they are not going to make the playoffs,
or that they're in there. One of the things that surprises me is I can't believe how far Detroit has fell. I thought they were going to be higher in the playoffs, and they could possibly miss them.
No, I didn't think Detroit really proved much to us. They proved that they can beat the Lightning this season. Yeah. But you got to play all 82 games, and they only have 82 points right now, so that's not going to cut it. And they've been on a horrible streak these last couple weeks to put themselves out of position for that wild card. Remember, we were the team that had played more games than everyone else. And now we're the team that's actually played less games than everyone else on that list. So you got to keep that into consideration. I think my biggest surprise for sure is the Flyers. The Flyers goal differential is a -17. If you look at the stats for the playoffs each year, the teams that get in are a plus side on that. The teams that don't get in give up more goals than they let in. And you always have a couple of these anomalies, and that's what Philly was this year. So you got to give our guy Torts a lot of credit, although he's just been a maniac this season up there with some of the stuff he's done, holding out his captain and
it's
out of his control.
I don't know if it's more Philly or more just the other team sucking behind them, because literally that last spot is up for grabs. Like
nobody wants it. It's like
No.
nobody wants it. I have a feeling
their
Philly's
last
gonna end
10,
up
2-5-3 for Philly. Washington's last 10, 6-3-1. Detroit's 4-4-2. Islanders 4-5-1. Pittsburgh 5-3-2. I mean, nobody's trying. It's an open race right there, and it's like nobody's trying to get it.
Yeah. What about the West? Is there any teams that surprised you in the West?
I thought Minnesota would do better this year.
Well, they've had a good second half of the season. They've played well recently, and they're probably not going to make it, but they're still in the race, technically.
And Kings and Nashville, those two have kind of surprised me that I didn't think they would be in the hunt. Seattle's way down.
Nashville is a little bit of a surprise to me that they're playing as well as they have this year after they kind of dipped off. I was always surprised with the Canucks this season too. They hit 100 points already, so that was kind of a surprise to me. And the West is as it should be. All of the teams today that are in the playoffs or will be making the playoffs are all plus on that differential. All of the teams that are not are all minus. So that's just the way it's supposed to work out. But yeah, you still got the Avalanche out there. You still got the Knights. To me, the West is just wide open. I think any of these teams that can make the playoffs in the West can make it to the Stanley Cup. Like, obviously, you're going to have your favorites. Like, the Stars and the Canucks are statistically the best teams, but behind them is the Avalanche and the Knights. And by the way, you've also got the Edmonton Oilers, who have McJesus and have a much better roster than they've had in the past. So I think the West is way more wide open. And I think there's more talent in the West now. We've seen kind of a shift in the last couple of years.
So like Stephanie said, everybody overlooking Dallas. Dallas looking nasty.
All season they've been really good. And they haven't really got the highlights or national attention, that's for sure.
So Stat Center just tweeted out the most assists in a season by a winger. Nikita Kucherov just became number 1, 88.
That was the other record I mentioned that I didn't know what it was.
And then this is a funny list. I think it's got 10 people on the list. So Nikita Kucherov, 2023, 2024, 87, Yager, 95, 96. Kucherov, 87 tied him in 2018, 2019. Huberdeau, 21, 22. Bossy, 81-82. Yager, 95-96. Kucherov at 83, tie in Bossy and Yager in 22-23, and then Lafleur in 76-77. So he's on this list 3 different times.
Jeez. The guy's good. He just makes it look so easy, too. It's ridiculous. By the way, we are on Instagram, on my Instagram at Shooty Shoots. And by the way, I post different stuff on our Twitter and on my Instagram, so you should follow them both. But we can't see your comments unless I flip over to go here, and I do see that we're getting a lot of comments in there. So Bolts Girl, that's Linda. Whoop, whoop. Hell of a game for the Bolts. Cooch, what a game. Alicia, my buddy Steve says, don't hate if the backup plays. Must be talking about tomorrow. He'll be okay. I think that's great. Thunder Bay 20. That's Laura, who was on the show last week. Said Polly, the PK has been fire, and Cooch. She'll be at the game on April 13th. We talked about that last week. Eric Shear, what teams do we need to lose to lower our magic number? Basically, we need every team in the East to lose. And then
it's the Leafs and Detroit that are tied for, or no, Islanders and Philly.
Just all the teams around us. They all need to lose. And we need to just keep on winning and ride this thing right into the playoffs. Hey, look at the Florida Panthers. A couple months ago, they were the hottest team. Hot shit. Couldn't lose nothing. And now they are struggling to win games. So if you want to go on a streak and start playing good hockey, your best hockey this season, now is the time to do it. And that is what we are doing right now. So it's fun to watch. I'm enjoying it.
Michigan's tweet for his extra shift. At times there was choppy outing for the Lightning, but thanks to second period goals from Point and Stamkos, they entered the third with a 3-1 lead. In the third period, they locked things down, limited the Leafs to just 4 shots on goal and only 12 shot attempts.
For an offensive team like the Leafs to shut them down in the third period like that in their barn, oof, that's good. That's good. And we were talking 2 months ago about how this team's defensively is just a mess. I wonder if Perbix watches from the skybox for a couple more games here, because Fleury didn't play bad tonight. I think that was kind of his replacement tonight, right? And actually found himself with 2 really good scoring chances. But it was Fleury, so didn't convert on those. But I don't know. We'll see with Perbix having that rough game last game and not his greatest season. I wonder if they give him a little bit of rest. It's good to have a little depth, which we did not have the trade deadline. So again, those moves so big by JBB.
That was my thing about Fleury is he still sucks. But you know what?
We'll never find out because he is frozen or I'm frozen. I look. Oh, you. Oh,
I think you were frozen.
Oh, it was me.
Because that's twice now. I think you were frozen because I still was. But.
Oh.
Go Fleur. Oh, you froze again.
I think you're freezing. If somebody in the chat can let us know who's freezing. Yes, it's Thomas. Thank you. Fix your internet, Thomas.
I don't have that. Right. Wow. I got Spectrum.
You got to upgrade and get wowed. You just have to call them 35 times to have them come over here and fix it. Yeah, my internet's been good for the last month, knock on wood. We're gonna have to figure something out for these playoff games. I'm gonna be like doing it from some hotel rooms, I think, as we go. But that's always been a good omen for us.
And I'll be in Vegas for next week's show.
I think we're gonna do it without you. I think we're gonna find a special guest host. Maybe I'll call Stash up. Let's hear it in the chat. Stash guest host next week. Can we get a yes or no?
Let's end this quickly.
Thomas is getting jealous. He's gonna get displaced. All right, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Maybe I'm.
Oh,
we got a Stash yes. We got some yeses. We got a yeet.
We got a hell no. We got a laughing.
Maybe I'll put it on Twitter. And if he wins on Twitter, as long as he's available next Wednesday night, we got the games Tuesday, Thursday next week, so we can stick to Wednesday night. I'm ready for these post games. We're doing post games for all the playoff games, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So get ready. It becomes super stressful when it goes for a long time when we play these late games. But hey, the longer we go and the more we win, the bigger the reward. That's how this all started. All right. You got anything else for the people?
No. By this time next week, we should be clinched.
We should be. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, and a Tuesday night game. Just got to win 2 of them. If we win 1, we can still get in with some help, right? Or we have to win 2.
Yeah, no. We can backdoor it.
Everybody loves the back door. This has been We the Thunder. Don't forget to be the Thunder.
That's it?